Hello, everybody. Welcome to Let's Talk Football. My name is John Halpin alongside my brother Chris Palmer. Happy Thanksgiving, man.
Happy Thanksgiving, my friend. I hope you and your family have a great holiday. To everyone watching, I hope everyone has a happy Thanksgiving. Please leave a like, comment, subscribe before we begin. Don't forget to hit that like button.
Yeah, we want to wish everyone a very happy and healthy and safe Thanksgiving. There's a lot to be thankful for, but as you know, we're always thankful for Thanksgiving football, right? That's always some good stuff to look forward to. And believe me, we're going to be talking to all those games today. But before we get started on that, I say let's get to our recap of last week. Unfortunately, we weren't able to record last week due to technical difficulties, but we did make our picks. We did save our picks, and we did kind of look at the schedule and kind of talk about these games and really digest it. But let's start in Houston of last week, where I don't think either of us saw this coming between these two teams, where the Houston Texans beat the Buffalo Bills 23-19. That Houston defense, number one in the league.
That Houston defense is something to be studied. It's going to go down as another all-time defense blown because of an offense that can't score points. And it's upsetting to know that.
Yeah, Davis Mills is probably going to be in wild card contention right now. The Houston Texans sit at 6-5 at the moment, behind Indy in the AFC South. So we'll have to keep an eye on them going forward. Buffalo also sitting behind New England within their own division. New England dominating this year. But let's move to Kansas City, where the Chiefs had to play the Colts at least to stay alive in the playoff hunt, and the Chiefs making the fourth quarter comeback and winning the game in overtime, 23-20. Chiefs, man, we just can't count them out.
It's that Andy Reid special playbook for when it's time to out coach someone and win a game. Because that's what happened here. It was the Colts were playing great. Andy Reid decided to kick it into another gear that the Colts simply can't compete with when it comes to coaching. And that's okay. And that's okay to admit because Andy Reid is on the Mount Rushmore of coaching. But football fans, here come the Chiefs.
Patriots and Chiefs, man, two teams that I don't think anyone wants to see in there. But fun fact for this game: in the fourth quarter and overtime, the Chiefs had more yards than the Colts, 283-82. That is over 200 more yards of offense than the Colts within that time frame. Absolutely crazy to think about. And again, they're a team that I don't think anyone wants to see in the playoffs. But
Absolutely not, especially not healthy.
no. Let's move to Tennessee, where we have the Seattle Seahawks taking care of business against the Titans, 30-24. I will say it's nice to see the Titans score more than 20 points. It's a nice little silver lining there.
It's nice to see the Titans have a little bit of fight going up against them, but the Seahawks kind of played down to their level. Starting to see Sam Darnold plateau a little bit this season, where he's not playing his best football right now. But solid fight, good win.
Absolutely. Seattle staying alive in that playoff race in the NFC. Let's move to Green Bay, where the Minnesota Vikings got absolutely crushed by the Green Bay Packers 23-6. See, what's been going on with JJ McCarthy, man? He has been really, really bad this year, at least within this last couple game stretch. What's been going on with him?
Well, I gotta look at him through a microscope, but before I do that, he did wind up getting injured again. He is now back in concussion protocol after this game, so he will be out for an extended period of time. But he is just struggling on every front fundamentally as a young quarterback. Now, we expected struggles, but like we were saying the past couple weeks, this team is ready to win. They are ready to win football games. Justin Jefferson showing clear signs of frustration because of the decline in the offensive production. Everyone is showing clear signs of frustration, and as young as he is, you can't help but look at him behind the line of scrimmage and be like, dude, you're struggling. We need you right now. And he simply is not up for the task yet. And that's okay. Go heal your concussion, but you need to learn. You need to start learning. You need to start asking questions. You need to really fundamentally become a better quarterback before anything else.
Yeah, no, and that's well said. Again, it all starts with fundamentals, right? You hit it right on the head. It all starts with those fundamentals. And we see it with a lot of the, again, younger quarterbacks that have developed where you master the fundamentals then everything else just becomes a little easier. You're more fluid to do the things that you're naturally able to do as an athlete, right? But you just got to master those fundamentals. So hopefully we can see that within JJ McCarthy, at least for any game throughout the rest of this year or next year, once if he'll be starting in with Minnesota again. But we'll see. That's a discussion for another time.
Before we move on from him, you want to hear a crazy stat that I heard?
What
You know what rank he is as a quarterback?
for this season?
Just overall,
Like out of
out
all the
of
quarterbacks that have played,
280 some odd quarterbacks, yeah, or
I'm
some shit
guessing
like
he's
that.
probably
There's
like
only
280 something.
he's he's 281 out of 282 or some shit, above only one quarterback. You know who that was? Jamarcus Russell.
Of all time. Okay.
Of all time.
Gotcha. Oh wow.
He is only
That's
above
crazy.
Jamarcus Russell statistically in ranking at the moment.
Yeah, that's not someone that you want to be close to in any list in any rank, right?
And there are stats that Jamarcus Russell was better than him at this point. At this point in Jamarcus Russell's career, he had more touchdowns to interception, a better TD to interception ratio,
I saw that. Yeah,
and
because
more
right
yards
now,
thrown.
yeah, because JJ McCarthy has about like 900 yards, 6 touchdowns, 10 interceptions, right? And Jamarcus
Mm-hmm.
Russell at this point in time with this many games in his career, he's had over 1,000 yards, 5 touchdowns, three interceptions. So like, the interceptions are way down, and I think the also in that stat as well, if I'm not mistaken, he Jamarcus Russell has been sacked less than JJ McCarthy.
Yes,
So not that again, there's a lot of big difference between those two stats too, but I think that it's indicative of the level that JJ McCarthy's been at, right? Right. So it's like,
that
look,
part.
yeah, it's if your play is being compared to Jamarcus Russell, you're not doing what you need to do as a quarterback. And I know
That's a
again,
back to the drawing board moment.
it's
Like,
again
I got to go back and I got to relearn this game.
fundamentals, right?
Right.
Fundamentals. But he's in a good environment to try to grow and develop, right? Kevin O'Connell, he's a great head coach, and they have a great supporting cast around them. They just again, their lack of offensive production is really what's killing them. And that's something that they're going to have to address not only going forward, but also in the offseason as well.
Absolutely.
But from one purple team to another, let's go to Baltimore, where the Ravens took care of business against the Jets 23-10. But this was a tale of two halves, man. Jets were leading at halftime 7-3. And I was sweating a little bit. But ultimately, we were able to get the offense going. Derrick Henry with 2 rushing touchdowns, and Ravens on a 5-game win streak and ready to play on Thanksgiving Day against the
It,
Bengals. Jets are going to jet. Ravens are just, I think, in their entire history of meeting each other, the Ravens are now 11 out of 13 wins against the Jets. So
so they've only lost twice.
only twice against the Jets.
Sounds about right.
Oh man, let's move to what could be the game of the week with the Giants and the Lions, and the Lions beating the Giants in overtime 34-27. This was a fun game to watch, and I think that we know why.
This game was entertaining from the jump on every standpoint, and Jameis Winston is such a gem.
That's the
That
name,
man
baby.
is such
That's
a
the
gem.
name.
He is like the perfect teammate. He really just can't do anything wrong, even if he throws interceptions. He's like, I'm gonna throw interceptions, but I'm gonna still throw the ball. And it's like, go ahead. You know what you're gonna do? Go right the fuck ahead. No one gives a fuck what he does, and it's great. Because no matter what he does, it's either funny or it's incredibly athletic. People forget that this man, he was a Heisman finalist, so he is unbelievably athletic in this game. So he can do multiple things, like lining up as a tight end and taking it into the end zone.
Crazy.
Good fight, crazy. But again, that's the nothing to lose mentality. We have nothing to lose. This team has everything to lose. Let's just go out and play.
For as long as Jameis Winston's willing to throw the football, he'll always have a job. Teams will always have a need for Jameis Winston to just be like, hey, look, our guy's out. You want to come toss the ball around for a little bit? Yeah, fuck it, let's do it.
In the
The horse
spirit
are
of
prepared for
Thanksgiving,
battle.
they should call Jameis Winston the auto QB for the NFL.
They
The auto
should.
backup.
Like a
Anytime
glove.
a team needs a backup quarterback, go ahead, Jameis. See you in a year.
There's always that one journeyman quarterback that everyone just kind of loves, right? Before him, it was Ryan Fitzpatrick, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, that's for sure.
Before that, it was like, what, Josh McCown at that point. It's
Josh
Tyrod Taylor,
McCown.
too. He's been around.
Yeah.
Josh Johnson, fucking on 20-something teams.
Who else? It was He quarterbacked for the Cardinals last year.
I'm blanking right now. Dobbs?
I can see his face. I just can't see his name.
Not
Joshua
not Josh.
Dobbs.
Josh.
There
Oh,
it is.
Josh Dobbs.
Joshua Dobbs. Yes, Josh Dobbs.
Oh my God, Mr. Dobbs. What a name. What a name.
What a name.
um. Oh man. Lo- Gotta love the side tangents. Gotta love it. But let's move from Detroit to Chicago, where Chicago Bears beat the Pittsburgh Steelers 31-28. Can't help but notice the banner is a little upside down.
We trash. We're fucking terrible. We're fucking ass, bro. We are one of the worst teams in football, and our record just doesn't show it yet. That was one of the fucking poorest second halves of football I've ever seen. Ever fucking seen from a $170 million fucking defense. We will talk Pittsburgh again, and I will have a part 2 of that fucking crash out. It's fucking coming.
Well, Ravens Steelers actually not week 13, but week 14. So it's coming right
Yeah,
up, mate.
we're coming. Yeah, part 2 of that is fucking on the way.
Oh, absolutely. I look forward to that. Man, that Ravens Steelers, it's always great to talk about. Again, we have a difficult matchup. Well, a divisional matchup against the Bengals, but you guys also play the Bills this upcoming week. And that is a tough matchup for you guys a lot. And I know we won't be
Especially coming off of a bad loss for them.
Yeah, yeah.
So
So
they're going to be
that's
pissed off and not in a good mood.
yeah. This is kind of the gauntlet part of the Steelers' schedule, which they just seem to happen every year, right? They just happen to have a gauntlet to finish out the year. But again, we'll talk more Steelers, but just things to think about. But let's move to Cincinnati. We were just talking about Cincinnati. They actually just lost to New England, 26-20. New England. Again, the score doesn't really it's not indicative of how they played. New England just was the better team offensively, defensively, turnover differential. Like they've just been on a tear lately, and Cincinnati was just in their way.
Yeah, but this one did come at a cost for the Patriots. Will Campbell is now on the IR.
That's right.
The rookie offensive lineman who was playing up to this point at an elite level as a rookie. That kid had over a 97% block win rate. He was playing out of his mind this season. Hope for the best when it comes to his injury recovery, and hope they can try and fill the shoes of a rookie, which on paper doesn't sound too hard, but a rookie like that's a big one.
Yeah. And again, especially with their season being extended to the playoffs more than likely, right? Right now they sit at 9-2 and are really likely to be in the playoffs this year. So that's going to be we'll see how that affects the Patriots long term. For the Bengals in the short term, it looks like we have the return of Joe Burrow this upcoming week. Potentially.
Such a fucking short-faced decision, bro.
It's we'll get more into that, but that was again something that we got to be on the lookout for. But let's stick to the AFC North. Let's go to Cleveland, right? Let's go to Vegas where they were hosting the Cleveland Browns. And Shador Sanders' first start in the NFL, and Shador won 24-10. Again, it's against the Raiders. Raiders are having one of those seasons, man. It's rough to be a Raiders fan, but good for Cleveland, good for Shador to get his first win in the NFL.
Yeah, good for him, but it was an all-around team win. You know,
Exactly.
he 209 passing yards, 55% completion. He threw one TD. He had his first touchdown, had his first interception, had his first win as a rookie, all in one game. But I think the bigger
got intercepted last week, so it wasn't his first interception.
Interception at home, though. No, oh no, they were in Vegas.
Yeah, they were in Vegas. No, but he did have the interception at home last week, though.
He had that. All right. So he had his first win as a rookie. Got the Browns' first win as a rookie in God knows how fucking long. I think 17 quarterbacks worth a time.
I think since 1999, 42 quarterbacks ago.
Some shit. Yeah, since their premier season as a return franchise or some shit.
Yep.
But shout out Quinshon Judkins, man. He is starting to be he's starting to look like a workhorse in Cleveland, man. Maybe get him a secondary running back, give them a two-headed run game again. Then they have Shador Sanders is quoted saying that was with a week of practice. Let's see what happens with a full camp. So we'll see what happens throughout the year. Then leading into the offseason next year, maybe he can show some promise.
And we'll see. We'll have to keep an eye on Cleveland this upcoming week. They play San Francisco in Cleveland, but that's going to be a tough matchup for them. But let's move to Arizona, where we had the Jacksonville Jaguars and the Arizona Cardinals duke it out, and the Jags winning in overtime against the Cardinals. Man, Jacoby Brissett, man, and he seems to fit like a glove in this Cardinals offensive scheme, man. They are to give the Jags a run for their money, somewhat impressive.
You see, this is the type of shit I want to see from both of these teams.
Mm-hmm.
This was the show me something that we both said from both of these teams this year. And they did it against each other. And that's the shit I like. But how about Jacoby Brissett, like you said? How about Davis Mills? How about these seasoned veteran quarterbacks from an earlier era starting to smoke defenses? Is that a conversation are people ready for yet?
Mm-hmm.
I don't think so.
I like it. I like it.
Different era, dude.
Joe Flacco.
It's a Joe Flacco, Matt Stafford playing at an MVP level. You have
Yeah,
these,
bro.
you know what I'm saying? You have these quarterbacks that are from a different time when it was a much more physical defensively on the other side
Mm-hmm.
that are now watching what's happening on the other side, and they're just, I'm going to show you what I could be now because you aren't playing defense against my throws. If I just got to step back and throw it, seems like anybody from yesterday's era can do it.
And all those quarterbacks too that you mentioned are all pocket passing quarterbacks, right? So there's something to be said where the quarterback doesn't necessarily need to be as athletic as say Lamar or Patrick Mahomes or Josh Allen, right? If you study film and you get reps with your team and you can understand what the defensive scheme is, you are going to be a successful quarterback, right? And you could stay in the Tom Brady made a whole career out of that, right? He's only got a few runs in his whole career, but he's been in the pocket more often than not, reading the defense, understanding it. There's something to be said about that. And I think that to see that still thriving within this year's NFL has been a pleasure to see.
It's really good to see that there's still like a split in this league. We've been talking about it for years that this league is moving towards a more read option type of game where it's a lot of spread, a lot of three backs, triple options, rolling out movement quarterbacks, West Coast style football.
Mm-hmm.
But when you start seeing the remnants of what the game used to be, where you got to set back, set your feet, let the ball go downfield, and then hope for the best and see what happens in a physical hand fight, it helps football fans still enjoy the game. It having a little bit of differential between the norm and what people remember is always good to see.
Absolutely. Well said. I love it. Let's move to Dallas, where we had the Dallas Cowboys make an crazy comeback against the Eagles and ultimately win it with the last second field goal, 24-21. Eagles, man, put up 21 in the first half, didn't score anything in the second half. Dallas kept hanging around. And George Pickens and Dak Prescott, man, that is a duo that I did not see coming this year. But Dallas keeping their playoff hopes alive. They are now 5-5-1. Absolutely insane year for the Cowboys right now.
Maybe Jerry isn't just a crazy old man. Maybe he does know what he's doing.
You might actually know
You
what
know
he's
what I'm
doing.
saying? Maybe he does know what the fuck he's doing.
Oh, man.
Oh,
Eagles, man, they got to get it together with lack of offensive production.
Stand by.
No problem.
Be light. Sorry about that. But yes, no, the Eagles have to get it together on offense for sure. They are the opposite side of the coin of when you take an offensive coordinator out of the mix.
Mm-hmm.
Seems like every time they release a really good offensive coordinator and they start going towards Nick Sirianni as an offensive play caller, they struggle on offense in more than one area, no matter the pieces that they have. Every year that they had someone else as offensive coordinator and play caller, guess where they ended up? The Super Bowl.
Yeah. I mean,
So they got to find themselves an offensive coordinator that can make more strategic, complex plays that are not as easy.
Yeah, they gotta. Again, I think it really shows that last year Kellen Moore was a great fit for them as their offensive coordinator, and then them moving off Kellen Moore and him getting the job at the Saints, it's really shown his absence, right? Because now Philly, they are readable, right? They're very predictable at this point, and they can't. And when you're running the same plays within the same drive, defenses are going to catch up to that. And defenses are going to understand that, look, you're going to try to run the ball, but you just can't get that. And we're not going to open up the lanes for you because not that they're more athletic than that Philly offensive line. That Philly offensive line, they're great. but they're bullying their guards a lot, which are plugging like either the A or the B gap. And it's like, look, if you're going to keep running it in the B gap, the B gap, the B gap, we're going to plug up the B gap, right? You're going to keep running it in the A gap, A gap, A gap. We're going to plug up the A gap, right? Teams are too smart for you to just kind of be have lazy play calling. And I don't want to say lazy, but that's kind of what it is.
It is
Teams
lazy. It's
teams are
lazy.
too smart right now, and it's like you can't underestimate that. It's like, look, they're watching every play that you're doing, right? And teams watch film, and obviously the better ones are the ones that study it and make the plays on Sunday look effortless, right? It's one of those things. Again, there's just too many good teams and too many smart coaches for you to really rest on your laurels, if that makes sense. And it's like, just because of like you have the talent, you have the roster, right? That doesn't necessarily mean that you have the right plan in place to win these games.
Right, and you can see that across the league. The two best examples this season of that are probably Detroit and Philly. Philly getting rid of their offensive coordinator,
Mhm.
Detroit getting rid of both their offensive and their defensive coordinator. And you can see a decline in both teams on both respective sides of the ball where they got rid of a coordinator.
Mhm.
Detroit on both sides of the ball, unfortunately.
Yeah, and again, we'll get a little bit more into Detroit as well. But again, they share the same problems where it's like they're not as dominant as last year because again, different coordinators, and that makes a huge difference in their offensive philosophy and defensive philosophy as well. So Philly, they have a Black Friday game this upcoming week against the Chicago Bears. So that should be a very interesting game, and I'm excited to see that one as well.
Yeah, that game should be something to behold. It's going to be a little bit more interesting than I think people are ready for.
Hmm. I'm excited for it. Let's move to New Orleans. We were just talking about Kellen Moore, but his Saints aren't looking too good. Atlanta Kirk Cousins and the Atlanta Falcons beat the Saints 24-10. Can't say I'm too surprised in this regard. We both picked Atlanta to win that. Again, it's more so indicative of not necessarily who Atlanta is, but we know that the Saints are one of the worst teams in the league. But I mean, at this point, I don't think they're as worse as Tennessee, but at that point, that's just kind of splitting hairs.
Well, as we were saying, Kellen Moore fit right with Philly, right,
Hmm.
before he left. He's a good coach. Good coach can't get you out of cap suicide.
Exactly.
It will not help against cap suicide. If he's going to stay in New Orleans, he's going to have to rough that out until that shit is been gone, until Derek Carr's contract is gone, or you can work it out. So Cam Jordan's gone, you can work his contract out. Till Chris
Hmm.
Olave is gone, till Michael Thomas is gone, till all the people are gone, and you can really set the whole barn on fire and reset. And then we'll see the Kellen Moore New Orleans Saints. I don't
Hmm.
think this is the Kellen Moore New Orleans Saints. This is still the residual cap suicide Saints that's being ran by a good coach and who has no opportunity right now. He has no
I,
chance.
I'm with you, and I think, and like we talked about with Kev before as well. Again, they're gonna if they're just gonna keep making the same decisions of plug and play and slowly bleeding out from these contracts, then they'll still be this Saints team for the next couple of years, right? So change has to happen, but it's got to happen in the off season. There's got to be better decisions made at the top, and until then, they're the coach is not going to get enough authority to really make the team as he sees fit. And they're just not going to get, he's not going to be provided the resources from his general manager, which, and also the owner. So, but there's a lot with the Saints, and despite their record being really really low, it is interesting to talk about them because of just how much they've fallen from grace and just the deep where it's hard. It's hard to be repping the black and gold right now for all the Saints fans because change is just going to be it can be soon, but it's not going to be soon enough.
No, but it's going to feel good once that reset hits. I
Hmm.
can guarantee you that for New Orleans fans.
Absolutely. Let's move to the Sunday night primetime game where the Tampa Bay Buccaneers and the Los Angeles Rams, and the Rams just put on an absolute thrashing against the Bucs, 34-7. But the bigger story, Baker Mayfield injured from this game. Teddy Bridgewater had to come in and replace him. Looks like Baker is going to miss some time. I didn't see the official report. Were you able to see how long he was out for?
It was I didn't see how he's going to be on IR, so he'll be out at least 4 weeks. He has, from what I understand, it's a sprained PCL joint. in his elbow, his left arm. I think that's what it was. So at minimum, he'll be back week 17, but Tampa's schedule does them no favors.
Yeah, they Tampa right now sits at 6-5, and they are tied in their division with the Carolina Panthers. And speaking of the Panthers, Panthers lost Monday night to the San Francisco 49ers 20-9. However, Panthers and Bucks do play each other twice within these upcoming weeks, and I think they close out the season together. The NFC South, we do have to keep an eye on the NFC South, man. Are we going to see the Panthers sneak into the playoffs and host a playoff game? It's certainly on the table with how injury riddled the Bucks have been, but it's on the table.
Doesn't it suck when I'm right? Don't sleep on the Panthers.
Mm-hmm.
The problem is the inconsistency of Bryce Young. This team is ready to win. They need a couple more pieces, but I think it's time that they start considering moving on from Bryce Young. I think they are really kicking themselves for letting both Sam Darnold and Baker Mayfield go and keep Bryce Young.
You know who the Panthers should call? Jameis Winston.
No, he's having too much fun in New York. He's having too much fun in New York, and they're probably going to fucking... I'm calling it bold prediction for next year. The Giants are going to sign John Gruden as a coach, and that energy is going to be undeniable. That energy is going to be undeniable whether they win games or not.
Oh, man, again, Jameis is on that 1-year deal, so he could just be bouncing around the league. Just saying, if Carolina needs a second quarterback,
you need a segue. You can call in the auto backup. You can call in the auto backup. I'm sure he'll raise the energy.
Exactly. Be like, hey, we need some life and some energy in this team. Yeah, fuck it.
We need a prayer group. We need a prayer group. Come through.
The horses prepare for battle, but victory belongs to the Lord. One of the greatest Jameis speeches of all time.
Fucking Jameis Winston.
What a national treasure.
I can't wait to see him as a makeshift media personnel again, Super Bowl weekend, like he did last year. And he started throwing cookie W's at people.
Yep. Or when he asked Saquon, what team should I be on next year? And he's like, I think the Giants need a quarterback.
I think the Giants are looking for a quarterback. I need a job, man.
Oh my god, bro, it's too funny. Again, there's a lot more great Jameis moments ahead, and I'm excited for that as well.
I agree.
Oh man, so that was our Week 12 recap. A lot of great games this past week, and there's a lot of great games to look forward to this week. But it's our Thanksgiving special. We always like to talk about all the games on Thanksgiving, and CP, we got a lot of good ones coming up for Thanksgiving. We got
an interesting Thanksgiving slate, man.
We have a feast of a slate of games, and we want to talk about all of them. But let's start first game, one game at a time, right? We got to take it one meal at a time, one plate at a time. Let's go to Detroit, where the Green Bay Packers come to town, and we have an NFC rivalry game between these two teams. Now, this is a very interesting game for a lot of reasons, but again, both of these teams are trying to keep pace with Chicago. And so there's a lot at stake between this Thanksgiving game. But CP, I wanted to ask, what were your initial thoughts on this Packers-Lions game?
Well, there's always the history behind it, right? Like the history of watching Green Bay versus Detroit on Thanksgiving. That's kind of like, when you think back to watching Thanksgiving football, I think Joe Burrow actually said it. A lot of people have the same memory of going, seeing family, eating, and then you go into the living room, you watch TV, and you watch Matt Stafford throw 400 yards and probably lose the game. And it was fun to watch. And that was your Thanksgiving football. And then right after that, the Cowboys played. So there's a lot of history between these two teams. But now looking at these two new teams, no Matt Stafford, no Aaron Rodgers playing on Thanksgiving. Mm-hmm. And now you look at Detroit, and there's no Aaron Glenn, no Ben Johnson. And you see what this team is. This team is not what they were last year. They fully have the capabilities to do so. I give a shout out to the Lions defensive coordinator being upgraded from linebacker coach. He's doing a hell of a job with that team, with that defense, but they are still not producing like they were. Offensive coordinator, his name defeats me. He seems to be just being acclimated to seeing what Dan Campbell did last year, which was just full aggression. We're going to force it down your throat, whether you stop us or not. We're going to go for it on fourth down, close to mid, and that's how we're going to win the game. Problem is, Dan Campbell needed to learn last year that that is what booted him out of the playoffs. Seems he has not learned that, so that is trickling down to his offense, and that is dwindling the offensive scheme. When Detroit Lions are having trouble succeeding on fourth down, that is trouble because that was like their bread and butter not longer than 365 days ago going into Thanksgiving last year. That was their fucking bread and butter.
Mm-hmm.
Was it gets to fourth and short, they're going for it, and they're probably going to make it. They were one of the best teams on fourth down last year, and now they couldn't buy a fourth down conversion. Green Bay, riddled with injuries, but again, they're another team that's totally fucking flawed. They're struggling on offense. When again, last year, offense was clicking. They were clicking. Now it seems like they're settling out, and injuries are hurting them. Defensively, they can't really stop much. This is a good head-to-head for the both of them because they can both see their flaws outright. There's going to be no hiding against these two teams.
Yeah, these guys know each other, right? The Matt LaFleur knows Dan Campbell. And they've known each other for about 5 years now, right? They know what the other coach is trying to do and their philosophy on how they play the game, right? And for the Packers, a lot of it is a lot of the same as last year, right? They still have Jordan Love at the helm, Christian Watson, Romeo Dobbs, Jaden Reed as their wide receiving core, followed by Josh Jacobs as their running back. It's the same group of fellas, and they're not having the same result as or the same amount of success as they found last year, right? And you could say the same exact thing for Detroit as well, right? They are just not finding the same amount of success. But I think both of these teams, they have different weaknesses, which makes it very interesting, right? For Detroit, a lot of their losses this year come from teams that are not afraid of their secondary. And we saw that kind of last week with the Giants, right? The Giants weren't afraid to air it out and to challenge to have their wide receivers challenge those one-on-one coverages with their cornerbacks. And I think that again, defensively, that's Detroit's biggest weakness right now is their lack of coverage in really close moments, right? And it took them a while to really come back from that game. They had to make the comeback against the Giants, right? The Giants were leading that game. And so once the game kind of prolonged itself and Detroit also gave themselves good opportunity to come back in this game, they were opportunistic, right? I don't think the flaw in Detroit is their offense. They're one of the best rushing teams in the league. Jahmyr Gibbs is having a prolific fucking year. And we can't forget about Money Monty either. Absolutely insane. Jared Goff, again, if he's going to be the quote unquote weak link in there, he's still one of the top quarterbacks in the league. He's a great vet, a pocket passing quarterback that can really get it done. If they're scoring, they only scored under 20 points once this year, and so their offense is astounding. Dan Campbell knows what it is, but again, Matt LaFleur is a very strategic guy. He wants this game to go long. He wants Dan Campbell to not have as many possessions, dominate time of possession. That's Matt LaFleur's game with Dan Campbell, right? Because when you become impatient and you're not getting the amount of possessions that you normally would have, right? There's 10 possessions in a game, but they're killing out, like Green Bay is able to drive the field 80 yards and kill, say, 8 minutes of clock. Detroit's not getting the ball back in time, right? That's something that the Giants were able to do very early on in that game. They have great drives and just really challenge that Detroit defense. But the problem is the Packers offense has been struggling a lot lately. And it's crazy too because it's the same group of guys, but they're just so inconsistent on a week to week basis, right? They can play down to their competition, right? They crushed Minnesota, but I think that's more indicative of how Minnesota's been bad this year than Green Bay has been good. And Green Bay, it's like again, their defense is not the issue. It's their offense that's the issue. It's just not generating enough on a week to week basis because Green Bay, you're going to, at some point, it looks like you're probably going to have to play the Rams. And if not the Rams, you also got Chicago, who's also going to put up points too. Philly, they kind of have the same issue. They kind of struggling on offense as well. But again, when you're going to go against this higher competition, right, where you're going to have to keep up, can Green Bay keep up? That's the question. And right now, again, Detroit's offense, they're gonna see if the Pack are willing to hang. If you're able to hang and we're able to have a good Thanksgiving game, then I expect a lot of points to be scored. However, if Detroit just gets an early lead, it's going to be tough for the Packers to make that climb back.
Yeah, but if Matt LaFleur as a coach decides to expose Dan Campbell, like you said, it's not going to turn into that. They aren't going to have
Mhm.
the chance to put the foot to the pedal like that. I understand the explosion of Detroit, but the way Matt LaFleur coaches gets Dan Campbell frustrated very easily. And no one knows that better than Matt LaFleur. And it does not take much to get Dan Campbell to start second guessing himself and making stupid mistakes as a head coach.
I will say it again. These guys know each other. It's been 5 years that they see each other twice a year, right? And I can remember. I think it was 2 years ago, if I'm not mistaken, where or was it last year? I think it was 2 years ago, where Jordan Love, his breakout game was Thanksgiving Day against Detroit, and the Packers put up 40 in Detroit on Thanksgiving Day. And I remember you and I we
Yeah.
talked about that game too, and we said Green Bay has no shot at that game. And then they just put up 40.
Oh,
And I think that
no.
again, that's with Jordan Love, with pretty much the same offensive players, and that may have been without Jacobs at that point in time. But again, these guys know each other extremely well. And Green Bay, again, their biggest strength is their defense. Micah Parsons is connection issue. Can you still hear me?